Warning: the following PJT foraging video does not contain any blacksmithing. It does, however, contain some really awesome stuff. If you click off this video, you will be considered a bull bag. And you don't want to be considered a bull bag, do you?
I want to make a new toy for my dogs. I've got two greyhounds, Mina and Thor. And without giving too much away, it's gonna be an upgraded remote control car. Although, I guess that's actually kind of giving everything away. Huh.
Shut up and sit down.
Now, I probably spent somewhere in the ballpark of 80 quid for this little toy, and that was money well spent. The dogs absolutely love it, as you can probably tell from the bodywork. But it's got some problems. Whilst it can do about 20 miles an hour, greyhounds do about 40. And that, coupled with the fact that it does 20 miles an hour on a flat surface, when this thing gets bogged down with grass, it's probably closer to 10 to 15, and that means it's easily catchable for two greyhounds. So what I want is something that's going to do excess of 40 miles an hour, isn't going to break the bank, and it needs to be pretty tough, because it's got to be able to cope with being caught and shaken and stamped on, I don't know, things like that. So I put my order in, and a few weeks later, this is what we're going to get. Here it is at last. This is a WLToys 124017, which I grant you is a bit of a mouthful, so I'm going to call it the Gerald. It's not actually this picture, it's this picture. So let's open it up and have a look. So this little guy is quite the upgrade on the old car. We've got nice metal oil-filled shocks, meaning that the suspension on this is much nicer. We've got an aluminium chassis. It's also a little bit bigger and it's got a longer wheelbase. And whilst the box claims it can do 75 plus kilometers per hour, that's a Chinese 75 kilometers an hour, so I reckon it'll probably do about 40 miles per hour. Sorry, I'm English. Inside we've got a 4300 kV motor, a 45A ESC, that connects to the servo for the steering, the receiver, and obviously our battery connector. And I reckon we're going to be changing out about 75% of this. It's come with two 2S LiPo batteries. And the idea is I want to be making this thing much tougher and much more sort of dog-proof, I guess. But before we do that, I reckon we should take this thing out and see how fast it goes. And there you go, guys. Wasn't that freaking awesome? Yeah, no, jokes. Let's go and speedrun this thing. Whoops. So before we take this guy out for the speed test, I'm going to give this one a quick go first, just to compare. Unfortunately, I don't have an expensive GPS tracker, so I'm going to be using an old phone and just taping it on with electrical tape. So, let's do that. Alright, let's take this over, and we'll see how fast a run we can get. Alright, starting here, let's go. Whoops.
Yeah, work for it.
And let's go. And we'll give it one more, just to give it a fighting chance. So that is a max speed of 17.8 miles per hour. So yeah, just under 20. Right, now let's compare it to the other one. Let's see the difference between these two then. Okay. That's fairly noticeable. Let's go for a speed run. Oh my god! Well, it's a good thing it's an old phone.
But it's a new car.
Well, first time driving it, and I've already knackered it. It's not too bad. We've just disconnected one of the props in here. So let's pop that back on and try again. We've got it fixed. What do you say we give that another try? Oh, he's lively. Here we go. And up again. Whoops. Oh no. Oh, 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 oh no.
You broke it.
Well, something snapped off. I don't even know what. Oh, that's the battery tray compartment, so that's okay. And oh, I think we might have got lucky. I think it's just disconnected again, but on the other side. So give me 2 seconds and let's go for a third run. Oh, guys, how wrong I was. We have totally shattered the housing for the front diff. So, yeah, there is not going to be a third run today. So I've obviously got to order a new one of these and fit that. And annoyingly, from the first run, I did get a speed, which was 39.6 miles per hour, but I didn't get it on camera, so you'll have to take my word for it. Apparently, I probably shouldn't drive anything that goes over 20 miles an hour, which is not good considering my line of work. We also smacked this thing so hard that the receiver came unclipped, but I think that just clips back in, so I think that'll be okay. Thankfully, in the back of the manual, there's a list of spare parts, so I need 1254, which is the wave box component. As you can probably tell, I'm not very good on the lingo, but yeah, this is what I need. So I'm going to order a new one of these. And whilst I've got this thing looking like a pile of scrap, I suppose that's a good time to talk about what I'm going to be doing to this thing. So annoyingly, what I've already ordered is the entire front and rear wing set. So all of this is going to be changed from plastic into metal, which obviously I could have done with. I'm also going to be upgrading the motor and the ESC. I'm going to be putting in a stronger central support, which is also going to be made of metal rather than this plastic one here. And I'm going to be putting a new body on it as well, but I'll come to that later. I'm also going to be getting and installing some larger off-road wheels, because obviously I'm predominantly going to be driving this thing on grass, where there are no curbs. And again, something I could have done with is I've got a front bumper set on the way, which I'm also going to be installing. And finally, the new motor and ESC I've got on the way can run 3S, so I'm going to be upgrading from the 2S batteries to a 3S LiPo. So yeah, I guess I'll get back in touch with you when all the parts arrive. I've also just noticed that this central drive shaft was also bent in the impact, so that's another part we're going to have to replace, because we can't be doing with that level of vibration. But oh well, these things are sent to try us, and by golly they do. Poor little the Gerald. But, I suppose really, whilst I'm waiting for the parts to arrive, there's nothing stopping me from getting things ready. So I can remove this part and get the old central drive shaft out, and then when the parts arrive I can just pop them straight in. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. It also gave us the benefit of getting off the old, well, let's go with bumper. So having got to a point where I thought I'd got this front end off, I'm finding out it's more complicated than I thought to disassemble this thing. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to take the central bracket off, undo the servo and the steering, probably undo basically everything, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Well, the Gerald is now looking a bit worse for wear. I've managed to get this central drive shaft out, and as you can see, I've actually managed to straighten it, or at least near as damn it, anyway. So I reckon this is probably good to go. I'm going to reinstall this, if I can remember how. And yeah, I'll probably then leave this more or less as is, because so long as I've got one end intact, when the new ends arrive, I can just copy the other side, if you see what I mean. So let's put this back in. There we go. Straight as an arrow, if the arrow was slightly bent. Alright, so the replacement for the piece we broke has now arrived. And as you can see, I've also upgraded this to metal. We've also got all this stuff which has arrived. New motor, ESC, bumpers, body kits, wheels, all sorts. So, let's throw it all in there. Montage time. So off camera, I decided to test this thing outside to make sure it was working. And it was. And I crashed it again. And the wheel broke. So I've got to order more. Nothing about this project has been easy. Right, I've replaced the wheel. It doesn't quite match, but it's close enough. Time to move on to the body. So my plan for the body is probably where I'm going to lose a few of you. Obviously, the original body is a little bit kinda small. And as a result, all this bare metal and the front sort of shock towers and things, they all stick out. And unfortunately, even on this guy, my dogs were kind of cutting their mouths to pieces just because they're idiots and, you know, there's sharp bits of plastic. So I don't want them to hurt themselves. So the idea I had was I was going to sort of encapsulate all of this. And so I bought this thing, which is a fat body. And this should hopefully work really well, because it basically covers everything. I had to add these little body towers on front and back, but it does now fit. Kinda. There we go. And I figured since everything's now covered, rather than spray paint it and make it look kinda normal, I figured I might have a better idea. Now, you might remember from the beginning of this video, I used to sometimes duct tape a toy squirrel to the top of this thing, and that way the dogs didn't tend to injure themselves so much on the sharp plastic edges. So I thought, what if the new car becomes the squirrel? And so I bought a buttload of bright orange fur, and I'm going to double-sided sticky tape it onto the body. That way, no matter where the dogs grab, it shouldn't hurt them. And it'll look hilarious. And it'll piss off the RC crowd community. So I'm going to do that. And so it begins. Let's do it. Hell yes. Look at this stupid thing. Alright, let's go see what the dogs think of this. I think they're interested. Right, before we go and let the dogs totally trash this thing, let's go and speedrun it again. And I'll try not to crash it. Right, we've got this thing zeroed. I'm just waiting for the GPS signal. Unfortunately, there's clouds. But yeah, I'm curious to see how fast this thing will go. It's obviously got a more powerful motor fitted and larger wheels, but it's also now heavier, and I think aerodynamic might be a stretch. But let's see. I don't know if this piece of road is going to be long enough to get to top speed, but let's give it a try. Oh my god. Right, let's go. Whoa, nearly. Whee! Well, the phone didn't hold up so well, but I saw 35 miles an hour on it, but I don't think we're going to know. So let's assume 40, because I could not get this thing to go max throttle before running out of road. But I think it's time to give this thing its proper test. So let's take it to the field, and let's see what the dogs think of it. think they're tired. Well, I think it's fair to say that Gerald was a success. Something a little different from a normal content, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed building it, even though it had a few troubles and tribulations, I suppose. But yeah, if you did, then consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all the usual. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one, where I will be returning to blacksmithing. I've already got an idea in mind, and I think you'll like it. So, see you then.